using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. World peace through individual strength. Waking the worlds up physically, mentally, spiritually, and then physically again. Why? To feel better objectively. How is that even possible? With your only no nonsense podcast brought to you through the Best Feeling Network. I'm your host, Hervey. Good morning. Welcome to another True Love Tuesday. It's Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021. Today we discuss how we are same dignity but different flesh, male and female. Pagawan! Are you please allowing all these words to enter one ear and then out the other, as we are stretching our self-awareness like a muscle this morning. Remember to allow the weight to be delivered down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all the times. What are we here about on Pagawan? Well, we're here about making you feel so good from the inside out. Again, that's making you feel so good from the inside out, as in bringing your awareness to where it feels good in your body and wake you ass up in the morning. Good morning, every morning, 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Good morning, welcome to another episode of Pagawan. We'll be right back. Welcome to another True Love Tuesdays on Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021. Another True Love Tuesdays on Pagawan, where we discuss the relationships of all things. But on True Love Tuesdays, we will discuss the relationships between the two sexes. Today we talk about how we are of the same dignity. Men and women, the same dignity, just different flesh. Same dignity, different flesh. Same dignity, different flesh. Same dignity, different flesh. How does that resonate with you? As you're allowing all these words to enter one ear and out the other, would you please, I invite you to please join me in pretending that there's a lit candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone while you do that. And just observe your sense of self as you pretend one more time that there's a lit candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. As we are waking up, stretching our bodies, stretching all of our layers of consciousness, our different states of consciousness, as we stretch our self-awareness like a muscle today, this morning. Good morning. One more time, I invite you to please pretend that there is a lit candle. A yay front of my lips. A few inches in front of your lips. I'd like you to pretend that there's a lit candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. That you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. Just observe your sense of self as this happens. Don't think about breathing in, don't think about breathing out. You're always breathing in, you're always breathing out. Just think about the candle lit in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. And just observe your sense of self as we stretch our self-awareness like a muscle. Indeed, because it is actually a muscle, our self-awareness, as we pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. To leave your swollen muscles alone. Doesn't your body move, shift, contract, relax, depending on what you are paying attention to? According to your awareness, isn't your self-awareness actually a function of the muscles? Self-awareness might actually be a function of actual muscles. So stretching our self-awareness today, using our superpower, our self-awareness, our ability to put our awareness on different things and to allow our body to feel amazing for it. As we search and search and search for the best way to open this window inside of ourselves, this godlike thing behind us, right? This subconscious, this unconsciousness that we know is so great within us, right? And how do we do that? By telling and giving our body proper instruction of how to deliver weight across its own body to feel so great in that body of yours, by spreading the awareness to the proper channels of your own body to make you feel good, amazing. And what do you mean? What do you mean spread your awareness? Well, as in, doesn't your left arm feel different than your right arm? When you get hurt, when you get a bruise on your left arm, doesn't your awareness kind of either go more towards that left arm, or doesn't your awareness sometimes want to make that arm feel more like part of the body? Doesn't your awareness shift and change shape depending on how you want to pay attention to your body? And doesn't that affect how you live inside that body? Isn't that true? So say you get a nail, right into your heel, or a Lego right into your heel. Doesn't your awareness of this pain affect the way that your body moves throughout life? And doesn't the way you move throughout life affect the way life affects you? The way people treat you, who you end up meeting, where you end up being, what food you end up going to, what food you end up feeling like eating, all largely dependent on how you are feeling in this kinesthetic experience of yours. And if it is marred by a nail in the foot and all of your awareness goes there, your awareness on the rest of the world shifts, right? The way you receive the rest of the world shifts when your awareness of an injury, for example, makes your body off balance. So isn't our awareness so strong, able to affect entire lifetimes of decisions based on your awareness, as your awareness affects the way your body feels? And as we know, the way you feel affects what you think, and then what you think affects what you do. Again, that's how you feel affects what you think, or how you think. And how you think affects how you do what you do. So your body's awareness and its ability to change the way it feels by simply shifting awareness, your superpower, baby. So is replacing the weight not into the tailbone, as you can see with these blue lines, but rather dividing this weight from the front of the spine, as we deliver weight down the front of the spine, of course, not the back of the spine, even though it looks tempting, and we talk about it. We deliver weight, boom, equally and divided across this rainbow arch. Not into this straight downward curve of a tailbone, where all those nerve endings are. Imagine how those nerve endings would get pinched if you were allowing weight there. So as you shift your awareness to the proper channels of what the body was designed to do, as in, you actually roll the shopping cart on the wheels and are not trying to roll it on the side of the gates. As in, you are using this thing more closer to its design, as you are spreading your awareness properly to allow weight to be delivered into the proper channels of your body. Aren't you able to affect your entire experience simply by shifting your awareness? That godlike superpower of you would make you feel so good from the inside out, as we pretend with me that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. To leave your swallowing muscles alone. Again, say it with me, please. I invite you to say it with me, please. Pretend there's a candle in front of the lips you're trying to not put out. To leave your swallowing muscles alone. Again, say it with me. Pretend there's a candle in front of the lips you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. How does that resonate with you? Our question of the day, or our topic of the day. Men and women. Of course, the same dignity, just different flesh. Men and women, same dignity, different flesh. How does that resonate with you? Again, men and women, same dignity, different flesh. As you kick off that blanket of yours in the morning, or making that cereal, this whatever you're doing this morning. Men and women, same dignity, different flesh. How do you feel about that? We'll be right back. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. Achieving world peace through inner peace. Through inner world peace. Waking the worlds up. Physically, mentally, spiritually, and then physically again. Why? Well, duh, to feel better. In an objective way. And how is that even possible? With the help of your only no nonsense podcast, brought to you through the Best Feeling Network. And your host, Herbie. Making you feel better than your morning would. Without it would have been with Padawan. Good morning, everybody. It is 5:45 a.m. Welcome back. Were you able to feel the front of your shins today? Is that something that's in your awareness and you're able to remember that you do not sit on your legs this morning? Or in the even afternoon, wherever thou art, outside or indoors. Whether you just stepped outside or you're just stepping back in. Wherever you are you allowing these words to enter one ear and out the other? Are you getting ready for the day as you allow these words to go in one ear and out the other? Are you drinking some coffee? Are you looking around the room? Are you closing your eyes as we stretch our self-awareness? How do you feel? Men and women, same dignity, different flesh. How do you feel about that? Same dignity, different flesh. What the heck is dignity? What is dignity? You Google dignity. Dignity is defined by a type of seriousness. Now, what is seriousness? Well, when we introduce the idea of the self, when we begin, like all things on Padawan, when we begin reintroducing the idea of a self, definitions as simple as seriousness even take on a new form, a new color. reintegrate the idea of a self, when we reintegrate the idea of a self, as we do always on Pal Go On, into our awareness, this idea of a self, words and definitions take new shape and meaning. What do we mean by a sense of self when we reintroduce the self? What, Herbie, the self has never existed before? People have never been thyselves? The idea of a self, as in a you that you have a relationship with you, a you that you have a relationship with, as in things that you do and moments of your life where you are you, yet not you. Just like there is an uncontrollable world outside of your body, from your skin looking out, there's also an uncontrollable world from your skin looking in, right? You don't control when you get stomach aches. You're not trying to get a stomach ache. You're not necessarily in control of how your insides are feeling when you see that person that you like. You're not necessarily in control when you do certain things to overcome when you feel trapped. When you use substances, or when you use social abuses, or you use different kinds of human interaction abuses, whether it be to other people or yourself, to overcome situations in which you feel like you are being treated unfairly. When you're resorting to drugs, when you're resorting to all these things, when you're doing things to avoid the feeling of failure, or avoid the awful feelings that we have throughout life that are associated with shame, failure, and blah, blah, blah. Are you in control of those things that happened when those happened? Or wouldn't you always choose the best thing for yourself if you were always in control, right? If there was no you on the inside. But when we introduce the idea of a self from the inside that defines us, yet we are not in control of, right? Our subconscious, our unconscious, these desires that were gifted to us by our own body, these needs that are introduced to us by this vessel that we didn't necessarily create. We weren't in the womb Legoing our own body together. We weren't in the womb schematicking and blueprinting how our body even works. How is your body able to spread awareness to the proper places, to laugh, do all these crazy sorts of things with the body? Laugh as in like pushing this air out that releases dopamine into your body using your diaphragm, and then each exhaled breath from a laugh grants you another breath, an inhale actually that feels good. How does your body even do that? Did we create that? We didn't create that. So this self, as in even before you knew you could laugh, you were laughing, and that doesn't go away. It's a version that's an unconscious and subconscious part of your personality that stays with you forever. Even if you get older and get better at resisting the urges to reflect it outwardly, your body is naturally able to do so many things like laugh, empathize, and all these sorts of natural human social tricks from the very get-go. And so that's what we mean by a self, that version of you that is not quite you. And yet we battle. Don't we battle with the outside world as well as this inside world? This version of us. This instinctive version of us from the inside out, which we learn to tame so that we can get better things in life. This relationship with that thing. So when we introduce that thing back into the conversation, don't words take on a different meaning as you reintroduce the idea of a self. When you reintroduce the idea of a self that you have a relationship with, that you are not necessarily in control of either. Right? When you were unconscious and still unaware of yourself, you were still operating. Your body has, your brain has sections of it that are specifically used for this version of you. We already know that there's this version of yourself. So when we say dignity, both men and women having the same dignity, as in seriousness, what do we mean? Seriousness of what? What is dignity? Seriousness of what? Of how serious you are at driving? How serious you are at music? How serious you are at feeling the front of your shins? How serious you are at relationships? Men and women having the same dignity, but different flesh. Dignity, seriousness. But in what, right? Seriousness in how to play the ukulele? Seriousness in how to brush their hair? Seriousness in how to get out of bed? Seriousness of how to get on to work on time? Well, maybe seriousness of this struggle with the self, which everybody incidentally has. How about taking that relationship with the self seriously? Is that dignity? Now we have something to look at, right? It's not just a seriousness, a general seriousness. But isn't everything always included? Isn't everything always including the idea of the self? As wherever we are, the self is. Always combating for our attention. Oh, you want to look at this? You want to look at this cool piece of artwork? Well, you got needs. You got to go to the bathroom over here. Oh, you want to look at this cool piece of artwork? Well, you got needs. Now you're looking at this girl over here. Oh, you want to enjoy your place at this hotel? Well, you got needs. So you got to stay back and not pay all that money. You got needs. You got needs because you got to pay all this money because you got needs like food. You got needs like sexual desires. You got needs like movement desires. You got needs. And your body will either give itself permission to go for those needs or not go for those needs. But who are you giving permission to, right? This self version. So when we reintroduce the idea of everyone having the self as they do, that they're constantly at war with, constantly at battle with, the same way that they're constantly at battle and war with the rest of the world, right? A rest of the world that's uncontrollable, foreign to them. We exist as this thin layer of consciousness in between that outside world, but also there's an inside world that we are also not in control of, but we are constantly having to battle with, constantly having to assess, constantly having to wrestle with. From the inside out and from the outside in, we have two forces to wrestle with. As in, we have the outside, the without the self, and we have the within the self. And we're trying to make the sense of the world by being smushed in between those two. So what do we mean by dignity? Same dignity, different flesh. Well, dignity is seriousness. Seriousness of what? Life? Well, how can you be serious about life without a worldview that includes a relationship with something? You're just this thing this dot floating in midair, and you want to have seriousness about what exactly? In what way could we usefully communicate this idea of dignity to each other? What the hell is dignity? Seriousness of what? Well, possibly seriousness of life. How could you have seriousness of life? Well, maybe if we establish what life is, as in establishing that life is this constant relationship with you and yourself, this battle between you and yourself. So how serious do you take that battle? How serious do you take that relationship? How much does it matter to you that your self cares about yourself to get the things that you care about for your body? How much do you treat yourself like a friend? How much do you have the capacity to treat yourself like a friend? I'd say equally across both genders, both sexes, both everybody. I'd say equally across everybody. How important is it to take that relationship with yourself serious? I think very. But whether or not you do, both sexes and everybody has the capacity to. To what? Take the relationship with themselves either seriously or not seriously. As in, I don't like how fat I'm getting. Yes, it may not be me. As in, I may not be attempting to be fat. I perhaps want to be the skinniest and the most fit person ever. But I just can't seem to get myself out of bed. Well, how do you feel about that? Does that matter to you? How much does it matter to you that this relationship with yourself is one that's copacetic, one that is agreeable, one where you feel like, hey, I want to do this thing, my body allows me the energy I need to move there? Do we take our relationship with ourselves seriously enough to give ourselves movement to do the things that we want to do? Do we take our relationship seriously enough with ourselves to give ourselves permission to do what we want to do? As in, aren't we enslaved to our human needs? Our human instant moment passions, aren't we more a slave to that? As in, when you're busy stuffing your face at the buffet, are you not spending time? Are you spending time away from your dreams or with your dreams? What if you could be free of all of those humanly of the moment passions? What if you could be free of that? and constantly be searching and constantly be working towards that thing that will actually build you and stabilize you for the rest of your life, or whatever it is that you want to go dream for. Doesn't that involve a seriousness of a relationship with yourself? As if you are your own employee. Is it important that the employee and the manager, which are both you, right? You have this employee that's on the inside, and you have this manager that is your consciousness that is assessing all the things that this employee is doing on the inside. All these desires. What is your relationship with yourself like that? What is your relationship between your manager and your employee? As you have this constant flowing employee that was always acting, always moving from within you. Since day one. Always acting instinctively. Always informing you how to feel about the world. This inside version of you. How serious is that relationship that you have with you and yourself? How important is it to you and yourself? How important is it to both you and yourselves to have a copacetic relationship with one another? To take the relationship with one another seriously. What does a relationship with oneself look like when it's taken seriously? Well, how do you take a relationship seriously anywhere? With honesty, dignity, discipline, patience, love. Honesty, dignity, patience, love. All sorts of things. How do you have a serious relationship? Well, among many things, patience, tenderness, love, understanding, those show a seriousness in a relationship. So if we introduce the idea again to a self that is you, but almost like on autopilot, it's just like the machine inside you. So it's you and the thing that is happening too, which is your consciousness and your body. What is a relationship with you and that thing? Do you hate it? That inside part of you that's coming out all the time, that inner self, do you hate it? Or do you treat it with compassion? Do you treat it with seriousness? The way you would treat another relationship which you would want to cherish? Do you treat your relationship with yourself as a relationship that you would cherish? Is that seriousness? Is that ability to have that relationship? Is that not dignity itself? Ability to be cool with thyself like that. Be cool with the inside and outside of yourself like that, like we are copacetic. Isn't that something along the lines of dignity? Dignity, this relationship with thy conscious self and the unconscious inside self. Having those two be agreeable. That relationship at all. Don't we both have that within men and women? Don't they both have that relationship with themselves like that? But they both have the potential for a relationship with themselves like that. This inner version of themselves that is constantly acting, that you eventually get a relationship with because it's always acting on you and you're learning to deal with it. Do men and women not both have that? This ability to have a seriousness in life, a seriousness in this relationship with themselves, which is what life is. Both sexes have the capacity to do that. To care about this relationship with themselves, their own lives, as that is all life is, this relationship with yourself. Don't men and women both have that? Same dignity, same ability to take their life with a certain amount of seriousness. Because they are also being influenced and affected by a spirit from within. Version of them gifted to them by this design that they didn't create, this natural human instinctive design that was made for them, has all these human needs. This relationship with that, the ability to be serious in that relationship, isn't that dignity? And don't both sexes have that? We'll be right back. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. Achieving world peace through individual inner peace. Waking the worlds up physically, mentally, spiritually, and then physically again. Why? To feel better, objectively. How's that even possible? How's it even possible to objectively feel better? What the heck does that even mean? With the help of your No Nonsense podcast brought to you through the Best Feeling Network and your host Herbie. That's how. I'll go on. Welcome back, guys. I hope you would feel so great in that body of yours. I hope you are spending some time to stretch your body, stretch your self-awareness like a muscle today. As you are allowing these words to hopefully go in one ear and then out the other. And then observing your sense of self as it happens. As we are stretching our self-awareness as the muscle it is today. Good morning. Has it struck you that both men and women, does it strike you that the capacity to have a relationship with thyself, as in what life is itself, right? Because we are always battling this inside version of ourselves. We are always confronting and overcoming this inside self throughout our entire lives, right? To get what we want. We fight our passions to get what we want in the long run. We resist the urge to do one thing so that we can get more of the other thing. As we have a relationship with ourselves, as we learn to resist our passions and we create a relationship with ourselves, as we, maybe like aren't satisfied or are more satisfied with the way that we handle ourselves and all this kind of stuff. Isn't that relationship with the self? Isn't that relationship with the self and the seriousness that you can have in that relationship? Isn't that seriousness with the relationship of the self? Isn't that dignity? And don't both sexes have that? A relationship with the self. Always butting heads, always conflicting, always trying to find ways to resist it, to tame it. Right? To tame our passions so that we can get what we want. Don't both men and women have that? Have that opportunity to have dignity, to have a serious relationship with thyself, which we know is a good thing because it allows you to get what you want as you are curbing your human passions that would normally prevent you from getting what you want. Dignity, this seriousness in the relationship with thyself, usually meaning honesty. What's more honest than finding out where to place the weight of the body, which is from the inside of the body? What's more honest than your bones and what is here and now? Is there anything more honest? Is there anything more true than your physical presence? The way you can be aware of it, the most you can be aware of it. Is there anything more true than your physical presence and the way you can be aware of it right here, right now, this exact moment? Is there anything else more true than your experience right now? You're like, well, this piano out there is real. Well, the sun out there is real. Well, the grasses are out there is real. How are any of those real if you are first not real? Is there anything more real than you at this point in time, your physical vessel? Even your ability to detect the outside world is by way of this physical vessel. Is there anything more true than your physical vessel right here, right now? So isn't there something about placing the weight into the weight of the body, into the front of the spine, into the true areas of the truest thing, which is yourselves, and then allowing the weight to be delivered evenly across the rainbow arches, into the sit bones, into the seeing surface, and remembering that you do not sit on your legs. Is there anything more true than placing the weight of the body into the true areas, using the truest thing, which is the body? Is there anything more true than using the true thing, which is the body, to do true things like deliver weight into the front of the spine? Again, is there anything more true than the truest thing, which is your body, doing true things like placing the weight into the front of the spine, or allowing the muscles to activate, which activate when you pretend that there is a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone? The muscles that activate when you pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. A lit candle. You're not thinking about exhaling or breathing, or leaving the swallowing muscles alone. And just seeing how your sense of self feels as it places weight into true areas of the body to feel a more true experience, integrating more of what is true, which is what is here and now, which is your body first, here and now, and everything else around you, here and now. The most true thing ever. The most true thing that your awareness can possibly verify is true. It's your body first, here and now, and then everything else that is here and now. Only things you can verify as true. The most you can possibly do in this flawed human experience to verify anything to be as true is first start off with the most true thing, which is the thing that observes other things, this body. How do you know if anything else is real without this? This has to be the most real. I think, therefore I am, right? As we are looking at the most true part of anything, our own body, and then doing true things like placing the weight into wherever it wants to go, as we pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to sit, not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. To first acknowledge the most true in the moment, as you're pretending that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. To leave your swallowing muscles alone. Why? To allow ourselves to feel the most true of our body, which would allow us to feel most true of the moment. In this 3D experiences, infinity things are happening to your body, and your body is sensing infinity things right at this moment, in different layers of consciousness, emotion, whether it's for survival, whether it's questions, whether it's about the world, whether it's about you, whether it's about your inner world, your outer world, whatever. So many things your body can pay attention to right here and now. Right here and now. Right here and now. The most true things we could possibly verify are things that are happening right here, right now. The most inside are the easiest to verify. The most true thing is your body. As you are observing the rest of the world, so that your body must be true. Start with the truest thing, your body. Make it do true things to experience the most true things around you. Just happening right there in that moment. Don't we all have a relationship with ourselves to be able to do that? To be honest with ourselves. In the most honest way. As in using the most honest thing. The only thing we can totally be verified of truth. Truism. Our own body. Our own experience. Closest we can get to. The closest we can get to being true with ourselves. As you want a strong relationship with the self, right? Does that come from lying? Do strong relationships, are they born in lies? Are they born in chaos? Are they born in deception? Are they born, is a good relationship born in an unfair advantage of not communicating properly? Of one person having more knowledge and not being completely forthright with that knowledge? Is that how you create a strong relationship? Whether it's with other people or with the self. Relationship's a relationship. How do you create a strong relationship using truth? Or do you create a strong relationship using falsities? I hear that you create strong relationships using truth. And is there anything stronger, or is there anything more truthful than your body here and now? So should we want to be good to our bodies? Should we not have a strong relationship with our body? If we want to be good to ourselves, if we want to have a strong relationship with ourselves, a serious relationship with ourselves, a dignified relationship, a serious relationship, if we want to have that dignity, as men and female are both have the same dignity, different flesh, is it not this relationship that you have with yourself that you want to be honest with? If you are serious about any relationship, you want to be honest with it. And what's more honest than your body here and now and making it do true things? On True Love Tuesdays. Again, I say dignity. Men and women, same dignity. Different flesh. Same dignity, different flesh. Same relationship or ability to have a serious relationship with the self, different flesh. Well, how do you define a serious relationship with the self? How do you define a serious relationship with anything? Well, one that's honest, one that grows, one that is treated with care, one that has humility, one that has forgiveness. All signs of a strong relationship. How hard is it for us to be forgiving with ourselves, men and women? How hard is it for us to have grace with ourselves, men and women? Isn't that easier with honesty? And how do we be honest with ourselves? Well, many ways, many ways. But the truest of all things right now is your body, that human experience, is it not? Whether you are shaking those covers off, whether you are driving in your car, whether you are just chilling out, isn't there nothing more true than the vessel that holds you? Isn't there nothing more true than the vessel that holds you? So don't you want a true and honest relationship with the self? Don't you want a true and honest relationship with the self? Well, doesn't the self want to know and be aware about the self? And what is more true about the self than the body itself? Uh-oh. As we are pretending that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. If we want a strong relationship with ourselves, wouldn't you want a high repetition, a high factor of honest transactions with the self? High rate of truths with the self, as we're always conversing with ourselves, right? High rate of truth would create a strong relationship with the self, right? A high rate of truth. Perhaps a high rate of reminding thyself the truth about where the muscles are in space and time. When you place the idea of a candle, a lit candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. Aren't you being serious with your relationship with yourself when you show it the truth about these muscles? When you show the location of these muscles to yourself to feel better? Doesn't that allow us to have a relationship with ourselves? A seriousness about the relationship with ourselves, a dignity to this experience, both men and women. To remind the self more about the self. As in, create a strong relationship with the self by increasing rate of truths per second. Like reminding the self of who it is. As in, you don't place your weight into your tailbone. You don't place your weight into the back of your spine, silly. Why would I lie to you? I want a good relationship with you. Why would I lie to you? Why would I lie to you? You know you place the weight of the body into the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all of the times. Hey, by the way, are you feeling the front of your shins as you're remembering that you do not sit on your legs? And are you being tender about this? This relationship with yourself, and don't both men and women have this? this seriousness about life, this unchosen vessel that has needs that they must combat with and confront simultaneously while they're also trying to live and have a great life. These needs that are arising from the inside, which they must decipher and deal with. Don't we both have that? Don't both men and women have that struggle, that strife throughout life? Isn't it both shared? Different flesh. So perhaps different objective or different outward expressions of a lot of these human desires, these human needs. Perhaps they look different, but our relationship with that self that operates onto the world, but onto us first, our relationship with that. Though the outward effects may look different because we have different flesh, don't we both have this relationship with those things, with that spirit within us, with that instinctive design? Don't we all have a relationship with it that can either be serious and non-serious? As in, you can care about it enough to say, hey, I want you to feel better, so I'm going to look for things to make you feel better, like pretending there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone, and to observe your sense of self as it happens. Do you choose to do that? Or do you choose to project your attention outwardly to the world in a way that leaves your body behind? Do you destroy that relationship when things get exciting? Or do you perhaps act dignified and stay with who you are? Do you separate yourself from yourself, or do you try to help yourself? Do you act dignified and try to help yourself, this relationship with yourself, which everybody has, right? Men and women, same dignity, same amount of capacity to have this relationship with the self and to take it seriously. This thing that defines life itself, this relationship with the self, this constant battle with the self. Who am I? Did I want to do that? What do I want? Do I want this? Do I want that? Do I want a wife? Do I want a husband? How many kids do I want? Why did I make that decision? Why did I ruin that? Why did I get really good grades there, but then not over here? This relationship with ourselves. Why did we do this? Why did I do that? When we observe ourselves, we create this relationship with ourselves that changes and formulates and shapes definitions in completely new, bright, and exciting 3D ways. Like, what is dignity if not this relationship, this ability, this capacity to have a serious or not so serious relationship, which would be undignified? A serious relationship with the self, which life is. This yin and yang, this inside unconsciousness always battling with your consciousness, this forward consciousness always battling. Your expected versus reality. Your expected versus reality. Your expected versus reality. Always we have this opportunity, have this relationship with the self, to choose either a dignified relationship with ourselves, a strong one, a serious one, or an undignified relationship with the selves. But we have that decision. And men and women both have that, right? Though they might not choose what kind of needs are thrust upon them from the inside out, there's a relationship that they can choose to either take seriously or not so seriously. There's dignity. Dignity. Seriousness of life. Seriousness with this relationship with the self, this inner self that came before you. That is you, but came before you. It's a you that's before you, even before your eyes. This relationship with the self. This you that's before you. Both men and women. Being able to choose, and what that might look like. What might it look like? To destroy that relationship with the self. To do things that maybe you wouldn't do in a serious relationship. We discussed True Love Tuesdays. about some truths, because what is love? Baby, don't hurt me, if not truths. Let's increase our truths per hour, our love per hour. Truth without anger, right? Truth without hatred, the truth without anger. Love, true love. On True Love Tuesdays, but every day. True love, truth without anger. The truth without anger. True Love Tuesdays. What is more true than the body that is housing you? What is more true than that body here and now? So would you want to create a strong relationship with somebody? Would you increase your truths per minute, per hour? So should we not make ourselves more aware of ourselves? Are we not increasing our truths per hour? Are we not increasing our relationship with thyself? We're truly listening to thyself. This inner version of you, that's you, but not quite you. It's you before you. It's you, but inside out. It's you. This is you before you, right? This relationship that we have with ourselves growing up throughout life. What do we choose? But we both have it, men and women. Right? Maybe choose to, maybe look at it differently. We all have our own decisions on how to do it, but this relationship with this ability to be serious with this relationship with the self. Is there nothing more loving than reminding the self of more truths per hour? Create a strong relationship with the outside and in. By being like, hey, these are the muscles that make you feel good. Just like showing someone at a new job. Hey, this is where you're gonna need all the utensils. This is where you're gonna get all the paper. Hey, body. Hey, body. You wonderful body. This is where you're gonna find all those amazing muscles that make you feel so good. Let's improve that relationship with that self. Both men and women having that same dignity, having that same ability to be increasing the amount of truths per hour with themselves. This is create a strong relationship with the self. Both men and women are able to do that by reminding themselves of more truths per hour, like pretending that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone and just observe your sense of self. And don't think about inhaling, don't think about exhaling. Just think about observing the sense of self as you pretend that there's a candle in front of your lips that you're trying to not put out. And so leave your swallowing muscles alone. Your first podcast in 3D. And pretend that there is a candle, a lit candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. And just observe your sense of self as this moment happens. Men and women absolutely not in competition with one another. Absolutely not in competition with one another. As in, we possess the same dignity, simply different flesh. Same mission in life. To deal with this constant struggle with this inside version of themselves. This internal strife. Maybe different flesh, but same game. Dealing with this internal strife of not just the outside world challenging them, but they themselves. And their freedom for things they want to do being challenged from the inside out. We're all playing that same game. We all have the opportunity, dignified or undignified, to live with a strong relationship with that self or with a weak relationship with that self. We all possess that capacity. Nay, we all are forced to play that same game. To battle and to confront and to face head to head. This force, not just from the outside in, but this force that is us before us, always affecting us from the inside out. We're both playing the same games. Men and women are not in competition with one another. We're playing pretty much the same game. Same dignity, different flesh. Same dignity, different flesh. Say it with me. Same dignity, different flesh. As in, we're both playing the same game, men and women. We're all just playing the same game. We're all just dealing with this inside struggle as well as this outside struggle. We're all just dealing with this relationship with the self. We all just have the capability to have a strong or a weak relationship with the self, and that is completely up to us. And those individual problems which we might have to deal with or we might have to overcome, yeah, it's going to be given a little bit differently because of our flesh, which, just like our design to feel happy, was not given to us, was not designed by us. Thank you for joining us on another True Love Tuesdays, where we discuss the relationship between the two sexes, and we talk about today how the men and women are not in competition with one another. Why? We're just playing the same game. We're not in competition. We're playing the same game, complementary to each other. Two different positions of the same team. Men and women. Same dignity, different flesh, both playing the same game. Both can relate on that part. Both can relate about having this relationship with the self and having to deal with that. It's part of you that's you, but before you. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Good morning. Baby, we forgot to tell you. Oh, did we forget to tell you? Oh yeah, by the way, women and men are not in competition with one another. Let's hear you say it again. Men and women are not in competition with one another. Let's hear you say it again. Men and women are not in competition with one another. Let's say it again. Men and women are not in competition with one another. Same dignity, same game that we're playing, this game that is us versus ourselves before us. It's us versus our inner selves. We're playing the same game, same dignity, different flesh. Please pretend that with me that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. And please feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all the times. Feel the front of the shins, and remember, you do not sit on your legs as we're stretching our self-awareness like a muscle every morning, feeling so good from the inside out. Your first podcast in 3D. I'm your host, Herbie, and this has been Palgo One, another True Love Tuesdays. Have a great morning, y'all. Have a fantastic day. I love y'all. Good morning. Whoosh, we out, baby. Have a good one, you dignified creatures, you. you capable for dignity creatures, you. I love y'all. Have a good one. Be safe out there.